Welcome to everybody. And Tina is first on the agenda with the administrative business.
Okay. First thing I have are the minutes of August 31st.
Okay. Minutes of August 31st. Do I have a motion on the minutes of August 31st?
I'd make that motion to accept the minutes presented unless somebody has a discussion.
Okay, I have a motion by Randy to accept the minutes as they are written. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I do have 2 early checks.
Okay. The Road and Bridge looks like equipment parts for $324.62. And for some cookies for $12.
That is paid out of the employee fund, which is money that we get from the pop machine. And that was for an employee appreciation for Emma on her last day. I see. So no tax dollars spent there.
There's one more. The cookies.
Okay, and in your packet, you had a memo from Courtney that she is appointing Susan Robson as a special prosecutor on a criminal case. In your packet, you also had a letter that we are required to provide for the auditor. This is the same as the letter that we provide to them every year, and it's really long, but I do need a signature from all commissioners on that.
I read it. It looks like pretty much everything was okay. Let's see. Kind of went wrong there.
A couple weeks ago, you appointed your voting delegates for K-Work, but I didn't realize I needed the chairman's signature on this form, so that's all that is. Okay.
Thank you.
at the last meeting, you had scheduled, or at a previous meeting, you had scheduled a work session for Road and Bridge, and this week I was asked to postpone that, and so I thought it'd be a good idea to discuss what your meeting schedule is gonna be for September and October, and how you want that. And then also, whether you might wanna put the cities on for a connecting links discussion, maybe sometime in October, and invite the cities.
Yes, that would be fine.
So, right now you have, of course, meetings on the 10th, the 17th, 24th, and the 28th of September. And no other meetings scheduled at the moment. And then in October, I didn't know, since you're meeting the last day of September, if you want to have a meeting on October 1st. You do have KAC the week of the 15th. And also we need to know if you want to have a meeting on the 29th, since you're having a payday meeting on the 31st.
Okay, would you like to go in September or October better for you?
6 to 1, half done the other, don't really.
I guess it's really
What,
good.
just back to Road and Bridge, is that what the first?
This is Road and Bridge.
Like
yes.
if you wanted, I know some of the cities were wanting to talk about connecting links. And so if you're specifically talking about that, it might be good to do that in October or late September so that you can invite someone from the cities to come.
I'd be open for the October 1st meeting, if
Yeah.
that's open for everyone.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I'm free on that.
Maybe to October 1st, how would that give them 25, 30 days to get somebody here for connecting links?
Are we gonna be discussing other areas in the road and bridge to where we can have a, a solid agenda put together for that?
That'd probably be a good idea.
Do you want to do that all in one day or do you
Well-
want to do a second one?
I mean, that's, if we're gonna dedicate half a day or whatever we're going to it, that would
Might as well just
be
kill it
appropriate.
and do it. That's
Now, do
okay.
you want to solicit feedback from the public or anyone else prior to the meeting, like written feedback for you all to look at by a certain date and then have your agenda formed based on that feedback?
That might not be a bad idea.
I think it'd be good.
Yeah,
You're talking about written.
Yes.
that would be fine.
Are you gonna try getting connecting links first that day on the 1st, put it on the agenda first, or I'm just asking, I don't know what cities, anybody in
I
particular?
know Marion and Hillsborough,
Okay.
but I
Yeah,
would
it could
think.
be first on the agenda, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. So what time, 9 o'clock? Is what
I
time
put it
is
at 9.
At 9, on the 1st of October.
Yes.
Okay.
And you want to have a regular meeting on the 29th?
Yeah, I do. Everybody else, I mean, it's a week later.
No, that's the end of the month.
Yes, well, the 31st.
Yeah, then you got your.
That's Halloween.
You got your payday 31st.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Halloween's 31st, yeah.
okay.
Okay.
That's all you have? Okay. Let's see, I'm gonna do one thing in administrative business. So last week, I had made a nomination of Lloyd Myers to the Economic Development Group, and I did withdraw it, and postpone it for a week for consideration. But I'm gonna go ahead and make that same nomination this week. I'm gonna nominate Lloyd Myers to be the second district representative on the MCC EDC board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy, I'm sorry,
No.
Kent. Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Opposed by Randy. Motion carries.
If anyone has not put their name on the list, please put it on there. Thank you.
Okay, so, we're gonna go into the public hearing for the Rural Water District Number 4 expansion. Do you have any information on that, Tina?
I can step
Susan
forward
does?
and Galen's here as well.
Great, great.
I want to apologize, we had done this earlier, but I did some checking and didn't feel like I'd given sufficient notice, so we had it resent for today and sent out, Tina helped send out multiple mailers, and so, we are here today, to ask for your approval, just for your approval.
I see.
And, I got one phone call, and somebody just wanted me to send a copy of the map, and that's what I did. I don't know if Galen got any phone calls at all.
Yeah, I got several phone calls wanting to know if they had to be here, and I said, no, they did not have to be here unless they were opposed to the inclusion of the water district's boundaries.
I see, okay.
Several were from out of state.
Yeah.
And this is a public hearing, so if anyone present wishes to speak, they need to be allowed to do that.
Sure, okay. Did you have anything else to add?
No.
Susan, did you?
No.
Okay. Did anybody in the public have anything they wanted to say about the water district for the fourth, water district number 4 expansion? Is anybody else here for that has anything to say? Hearing none. Suppose we'll go move on and,
So then there's another resolution to
Okay.
adopt.
okay,
Well, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
This is an amended resolution.
okay.
Carl.
So,
Yeah, could you turn the speakers on?
oh, okay, I'll go, yeah, what can we do to get?
You're whispering over there, like some of us like to hear.
Okay,
We'll just have to speak louder unless you want me to go get, I don't have any sound system in here right now because we haven't used it in a long time, so.
okay, she's good and he's doing good. I think they have a hard time hearing you because your back is to them. Can you kind of go maybe to the side or something?
Carl, I think your phone is making some sound there.
Turned
It's
on.
talking to you. Something's talking to you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and, make a motion to approve resolution 2018-28, an amendment resolution relating to attachment of land by Rural Water District Number 4, Marion County, Kansas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Randy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries the second time.
Thank you.
Can you not hear that, Carl?
Some of
Do
it,
you wanna sit up in the, can you sit up in the front row? Maybe I'll try to bring some external speakers next week. I'll make sure I get some.
I can set the sound system back up, but it doesn't do a lot of good if we don't have a microphone for each one of you commissioners. So,
You probably don't have a hard time hearing me.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll get a copy later, and then Tina, I think did you email me the bill?
yeah, I emailed you something, yes.
Yeah, okay, and we'll get that taken care of.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is the discussion on the interim department leadership.
Which department do you want to go to first?
Well, I just wanted to mention that, since the EMS director is leaving, I kind of wanted to see what the board would like to do as far as, if we can try to appoint an interim as soon as possible, even before he leaves, while you're doing the broader search for your director. We did have several of the current staff put in applications for that. So I guess I kind of want a direction from the board on how you would like that to go. And then, since Emma is already gone, we need to appoint an interim director for planning and zoning right away, because you need someone that has authority to sign the permits and to take care of the business of that department. And so that's basically what I wanted to discuss with you. We are advertising right now for a director for the planning and zoning department, but they are also now, if Sharon is appointed as the interim director, they are without any assistance or any part-time clerical assistance in the office at this time. So she'll be basically on her own over there. And so I guess I need to know too, kind of where you want to go with that. If we advertise for the director and the assistant at the same time.
Catherine's still working part-time?
No,
No.
she's not.
Okay.
She's not working for them anymore.
Okay, so, okay, so we want to start then with,
Planning and zoning.
planning and zoning. Okay, I seen you had something here with
I
notes
gave
on
you
it.
some information about the current pay structure. I'll wait till you find that.
I found it right, here I am.
Sorry, it's not
It's all right.
typed, but the HR consultant did say that it's recommended when someone steps into an interim position to have at least a 10% temporary increase because of the additional liability and responsibility that that individual has in making those decisions. I've given you what that amounts to for Sharon. And then I gave you some other bullet points. First of all, that there are no assistants in the office right now. Let's see what else.
So your what is being recommended here is, so Sharon makes $2,357, and the 10% then would be right at $214.
No, she's currently making $2,143.
That would
If you
include,
give her a 10% more, it's $2,357,
Okay.
which
so-
is an increase of $214.
Okay,
But keep in mind, she does not have any clerical staff. And then the HR consultant that's working on the pay study, she is to be here next week. They're gonna go through all that information with you. But for the position that Sharon is doing currently, she's one of the ones that they're saying is underclassified, because when she was initially brought in, she was just brought in as an office assistant, but she has been doing actual planning and zoning inspections and a lot of more detailed work. So they're going to be telling you that she's underclassified at this time. And then I've given you Emma's salary, which is $1,660 a month more than what Sharon makes currently. And so if Sharon's stepping into that duty, it would be appropriate to pay her somewhere between the 10% or higher for those duties during that time. So
but Emma has a lot more education and experience than
Sharon
what
has
Sharon does.
also been going to all those classes, so she has a similar level of education, not exactly the same as Emma's.
It would be interesting to know just what she does have compared to Emma's. I would
Well,
like to
she'll
know
be
that.
here later also.
Okay,
But I just gave you a figure here of $500 a month for the interim, which would kind of bring her more in line. And so that's just something for you to consider. But today, before the end of the meeting, we do need to have someone appointed as an interim director for
okay.
that department.
And then will we be looking for a secretary also at some point? Or
Yes.
assistant?
Mhm.
You're talking about this.
We're
down
looking
at
for
your
an
bottom figure,
assistant
yeah.
and possibly even a part-time clerical as that's the staffing structure they had before.
You're talking about this bottom figure down here, you had 500.
That is,
that's-
yes, that's 500 more than what she's making right now, and it's still over $1,000 less than what Emma would have
Right.
been making, so.
That would be my recommendation to the board, would be to, at least to that 2643, and then evaluate how we go from here to on up to whatever, well, if we got the pay study people coming in next
Next
week,
week,
and
yep.
things and stuff like that, but I think we're at least 30 days out probably from making any decisions, by the time everything goes. There's a lot of decisions with the wind farms going on, the stuff to be made.
Now, I have not talked about any of this with Sharon,
Yeah.
but she will be here later for planning and zoning, so that's probably something that you'll want to discuss with her, and should you want to appoint her, that would be a good thing to do while she's here.
Okay, so then we'll do that when she gets here.
I mean, it's fine to
Okay.
discuss it now and everything, but I have not discussed it with her at all, so.
Okay, okay.
So but I do think we need to, is there any advertisement for the secretary position already out in there?
I have not advertised for the assistant or the
Okay.
clerical help. I assume that the board is okay with me doing that now, so I'll go ahead and do that. But we have advertised for the director. I've advertised it in the paper, on our website, and also through 2 planning and zoning organizations in the state.
Okay, perfect.
So,
Good. Okay. So then the next one you want to talk about is
the
EMS?
EMS director.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now, since Ed has given his resignation and is leaving, I'm assuming that we're going to put on hold the assistant director and the trainer at this time because the new director may not want to go that route and let him make his choices.
Or her?
Or her. Correct. Yeah, so we'll put that part on hold.
I wasn't moving forward with that part at all. I just
Right.
want to
I-
know
Yeah.
if you would like, how you want to handle appointing an interim director.
Mhm.
And then I would assume that you're ready for me to start advertising and put out for the director position. I plan to do that today, have that out to the Board of EMS as well as in the newspapers. And I believe it's already on our website.
Good.
I think it'd be nice to have an interim on board before Ed leaves, just so he kind of help bring that person up to speed.
You said you had several people who put in for it?
Well, I asked Ed to send an email out to all his current staff to let them know that if they are interested in that interim position, to please submit their application. And we had done that last week. I asked for them by Friday so that we would have something today for you to look at. And I do have several.
Okay.
So if you would like to review those later in executive session, or if you want, it just depends on how you want that process to.
Okay, we could do that in executive session. I mean,
Okay.
At the end.
Okay.
That'd be fine. Is that okay?
Yeah, I would
That's
just
good.
like to state though, regardless of what the new director really, training person is something that's, I don't know, as the years that I've been sitting here, training is something that we need to stay on, and it's always pulled away when the director directly takes over. He or she works a lot of hours doing the directing and then goes overnight and does the classes and things like that. Training officer really is sort of, I think, positive, but I also think that person needs to be on a full shift somewhere or fill-in shift somewhere for vacancies and things like that. But there's going to be a lot of workload, I think, for the new director, whoever it is, to get some of this. I'm a little surprised that some of this hasn't been accomplished here. We've had at least 30 days or 60 days that Ed I thought was going to make a choice, but he didn't do that, so.
And so I will also add on that training, because I've been doing some research and study on that. And I've learned that our trainers, well, as Ed and Josh, that the county has paid to put through school to be trainers. They're actually private contractors. So when they do their classes, the money is theirs. And that's something that we need to set up, and we need to restructure that, or at least consider it, before we actually make that. Because I've learned a lot about how this has been happening, and I think we at least need to discuss it. And will our council be here today?
I don't know. If he is here, it'll be late,
Okay.
maybe 10:30 or 11.
I would
And I'd like
And
to share that with the
I'm
commission
not
too.
sure how we're structuring that with our on-staff people. I mean,
That's what I was going to say. With on-staff, I don't see how that.
I don't
would be.
believe we are
That's-
paying them that way.
If it is, I'm
Okay,
sure.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I know he has his own mannequins, Josh does. Now, I know that Ed uses the county's mannequins.
Well, and
when
there
he
is
does,
personnel
but-
discussion on for EMS later, so if you want some clarification on that, then that might be a good time to discuss
Well,
it.
that's fine, but like I said, I did do quite a bit of calls and study on that a little bit, so. But anyway, we'll have a discussion on that. But I would like to, especially if legal counsel is here with us, I hope he shows up. That's why I was hoping every Monday. But anyway, so then we're done with that portion till later?
Yep.
Is Bud out there? I'm sorry, Ed, is he out there? Bud, is he out there? He's not there yet? Are we early?
Yeah.
We're way early. Okay. And we even put the EMS personnel, all that, so we're way early. Wow.
Well, your hearing didn't take very long.
No.
Is there,
I don't know, we could move on to some of these
I
other
don't
people.
know what the gentlemen are here.
Okay, why don't we go ahead, would you gentlemen have something in particular that you'd like to bring to the board? Are you just here to
Just here
observe?
to watch. Okay.
Wow, that's awesome,
Good.
yes.
Anybody?
Mr. Seibert, you have something you want to
Yes,
bring
I
before the
would.
commission?
It has to do with our roads.
Okay, now do you want to wait till Linda Peters gets here, or do you want to go ahead and just,
I just wanna go ahead.
okay, go
I've
right
got
ahead.
Other things to get done today.
All right, you may go ahead and do that.
I've been out there 40-some years.
Mhm.
Yarrow Road's the worst condition I've ever seen.
Yarrow, you're saying Yarrow?
is, yes. Yarrow, I'm sure, is still an FS road, which is a federal service road, which I'm still sure the county receives extra money from the federal government to maintain that road to a certain level. In case of emergencies, the federal government can use that road to transport stuff down. I don't care if it's tanks, semis, or whatever. But right now, I know it would not pass the federal service road conditions. I was driving down there last week and hit some bumps right north of Chuck McClendon's, and a tie rod on my truck broke, and I lost all steering wheel because of the chuck holes, which was a bad enough deal. The biggest problem we have with our roads, I don't know about the rest of the county, but I know Yarrow, is I don't know if the people that maintain the roads or understand gravity. Gravity is water running. When those roads are graded, they put that windrow, that gravel along the side of the road. The windrow is higher than the center of the road. So where does the water go? It runs down the hill to a lower spot, it can't get out, and all of a sudden we've got a pond. If you go to a federal park, Yellowstone, Yosemite, whatever, the federal government has rules and regulations about how to maintain their roads, and you never see a windrow of gravel along the edge of the road.
Without at least some cut-ins, right, for the water to get out, or
They
just
just
none
have
at
it,
all?
they just have it crowned so the water can run off into the ditches.
Okay.
If the water can't get to the ditch, it's gonna stay in the road, we got a channel. Yarrow has lost its base. If I'm in my rig, I'm running about 38,000 pounds with that skid steer and everything else on there. And if I'm meeting somebody and I've gotta pull over on Yarrow right now, I guarantee you I've gotta put it in four-wheel drive on that shoulder because I'm gonna be stuck. Which is a real problem. And I'm about to the point right now, I'm about ready to drive my truck up and down the shoulders of that road with Mary Ann with the tractor to keep pulling me out and just tear the hell out of it. I'm just about at that point. That deal breaking the tie rod of my truck and pretty near wrecking it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back.
I understand.
We need to get a crown on these roads. We need to quit putting that windrow of rock along the side of the road. Water's got to run off to the ditch. If it can't get to the ditch, we got a channel.
Yeah.
You can go out there right now at the bottom of these hills, and that's where the big chuck holes are at. It's a pond.
And is it washing off the rock and you got ruts going down the side and
Yes.
things like that?
Yeah, it's
Well,
not running the ditch. It's coming down the road.
Do you have a ditch? Is there a
Well,
ditch there?
There's a ditch there, but when the edge of the road is higher than the ditch, water can't get to it.
Yeah, okay.
They need to be, those ditches need to be pulled.
Mhm.
And, I mean, I was told, well, back when Dan Holliff was commissioner, I was told back then that, well, Yarrow's on the list of roads to be redone completely. And that's been what, how many years it's been since he's on the commission? 3 or 4?
Two.
2? Okay. And it was supposed to be done next year. Well, it hadn't happened.
I know.
Something needs to be done. You know, I'm worried about somebody else. And, you know, it used to be, on all your county roads, you had 3 tracks. You had one in the middle and then one on each side. And Yarrow used to be that way. Everybody drove kind of their side of the road, one tire in the middle. There's only 2 tracks anymore. It's been that way for years now. Because nobody wants to get to that shoulder because it's so soft, you're gonna get stuck. or you're gonna lose control
Yeah.
and have a wreck. And the 2-track isn't too bad until you get to the top of the hill and somebody's coming up the hill and you're going off and you're on that 2-track. You're gonna be a head-on sometime, somebody's gonna be killed, some little kids or whatever, because the county did not maintain the road to specs.
Right.
I would like to know when something can be done with that road.
Well, that's a very good question, and we're working on that, pretty feverishly, and that's why we have some other people coming today for pretty much the same things, and then we're gonna do a work session. We're
Okay.
gonna really start addressing these roads,
But we gotta
very
get it,
aggressively.
we've gotta get a crown, quit leaving the wind road. And that rock along the edge of the road, it doesn't do a bit of good.
No,
If it was out in the middle of the road, maybe we wouldn't have so many potholes, we'd have a crown. Just the way we grade them is not right. It doesn't make any sense.
well, I will tell you that I fully understand. I hear that every day. This past week was, my phone didn't stop ringing.
Oh, yeah,
Didn't
especially with
stop
all the
ringing.
rains.
It just didn't stop ringing.
It just
And-
stopped.
Yeah. So, and I know as far as roads being said they're gonna be built, rebuilt,
Mhm.
I've got several people too that have been waiting 5 years or so
Yeah.
for that to happen. So, like I say, we're going to address that, whether it be in our work session or later today,
Okay.
something, but we're gonna
Like I say.
make some changes somehow.
When that tie rod broke in the truck and I pretty near wrecked it, I go, okay,
Yeah,
big
I hear
chuckles.
ya. I hear
Yeah.
ya. Yeah, it's terrible.
Luckily, I was only going probably about 25, 30 mile an hour, so.
Mhm.
But if I'd been doing the speed limit on the county road, which is what, 55?
You wouldn't have done
I
it.
probably wouldn't be here today
Yeah.
to complain,
I'd like one more with John.
Yeah, go right ahead and
Yeah.
say what you wanna say.
Randy.
Jarl, I had a complaint, and I guess on not Jarl so much, but I went from the county lake on 170th,
Uh-huh,
let's see, from the county lake 170th over here over to Jarl, and then come down to you Friday afternoon. There's about 4 or 5 miles here that you can't get from Jarl. This is from Florence to Rock Quarry. If you know where the Rock Quarry is, it goes right straight up past the Rock Quarry and goes on north.
Sure.
Anyway, there's about 4 or 5 miles in here, but the complaint that I received was on 170th. My question to you, John, is how important is 170th?
170 is not that important, because it's rock good up to Dick McClendon's,
To his house?
his house.
Yeah,
Okay, so he has a way to get out.
yeah.
Okay, Enzi's can go east to Yarrow.
That's
And
the
that's
old, is that the
maintained
Jackie
pretty
Hat
good.
place? Is that
Yeah, that's Jeff Enzi lives there, the old
Okay.
Snelling place.
Snelling place, okay.
But, you know, so they can go east to Yarrow, but yeah,
Where to go, where to go.
there's no houses in between
Yeah.
Dixon and Enzi's there.
Okay, in between,
That-
this area right in here, yeah.
Right, yeah, see, Enzi just have to go a half mile to the Yarrow. They don't need to be going east on it, or west, I mean.
Okay.
Because, you know, granted, there's just hadn't been gravel on that for years. I mean, it's just it's not a bus route or anything, so.
No, that's why I'm asking that,
Yeah,
you know, is how important it is, because I do know.
170 is not that important.
Well, but there's feedlot over here, and then these people, I think, live over here that go and probably use it the most.
Well, yeah, the feedlot deal,
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's just what, you know, but from Dick McClendon's to here is what I
It's-
drove it Friday afternoon and then
it's
come
pretty
down.
bad.
I come down Yarrow to you and
Yeah.
come on down to here Friday afternoon in the rain, and I know what you're talking about on Yarrow.
From
It's just soft
170th
on
to
top.
Yarrow isn't quite as bad as 170th on north to 150.
I see,
Once
I
you
didn't,
get going north.
past Chuck McClendon's.
Yeah, that's where you have the big potholes in the middle of the road,
Okay,
and,
okay, I didn't drive that, I stopped
Yeah.
at 170th and come this way, so you're saying
Okay.
from here this way up to Yarrow.
yeah,
Okay,
but, anyway,
well, thank you, I just wanted your
Okay.
opinion and.
Yep.
yeah. All right, okay.
Appreciate you
I'm
being
gonna
here.
go
George.
try to make a
Thank you.
living now,
Yes,
so I
Yeah.
can fix the front end of my truck.
sorry, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
You bet.
you.
Have a good day. Oh, let's see. We still have a few minutes. Does anybody else have anything else they'd like to say? Lloyd?
I'll have to agree with John. I take care of some property on Yarrow and Highway 150, and the grader went by. I mowed them ditches right up to the roadway, Yarrow and Highway 150, right there on the corner.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And the grader come by while I was out there mowing with a chair. You can't drive one with a pickup where I mow. Now I have to keep going around it, which is no big deal. But why push it over where I'm working, where I keep it nice? You can't drive it over, you can't drive over it with a pickup.
I didn't know that. So which road are you talking about? On
Yarrow
Yarrow- On
150.
Yarrow itself?
Right off the blacktop.
Right to the north, out
Right.
on the
To the
north
north.
side.
To the
Right
north.
there in
To the
that
north.
corner.
Okay, okay.
You go look, there's 4 piles big as that chair. I seen him grading out there, so I hurry up and mowed that strip. And when he come by, he just threw it right where I mowed.
And same, Friday afternoon was pretty busy for me too, Zebulon, I got some calls.
Yeah, I did too.
on
I did too,
Zebulon.
Zebulon,
Okay.
yes.
That's this
piles
road right here.
That piles of dirt or sunflowers and stuff.
Same operator.
I
If
mean,
we
weeds.
mowed the ditches, we wouldn't have sunflowers.
I mean, it's just dirt and gravel.
Dirt and gravel and sunflowers.
Cause I know sometimes they hook some of that, you know, foliage or something.
But I don't know.
piles up.
What I don't understand, Kit, they mowed the sunflowers from highway on Yarrow, from Highway 150 going south. Nothing north of 150. They stopped at 150 and went back south.
Now, I don't know where our grader operator ends, Lloyd. I
Pardon?
think the grader operators have been given a tractor when if they're not in their grader, they've been given a tractor and a mower, and they grab this tractor and mower and mow it. Now, if their area stops at 150,
That could be.
I could understand that, but otherwise I don't know.
I don't know where they stopped
Okay.
at.
You'd have to ask Jesse or somebody if 150 is a dividing line for the greater areas. I don't
You know,
know.
we got, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's seven people use that road. Heavy, Yarrow, from north of 150, going to get to the highway. And it's about as big as that chair.
Okay.
Shake your hand, Mr. Delkey.
Thank you, Lloyd.
I don't know what I've done. I'm gonna apologize for what I don't know, but I apologize for something.
And I'd be more than willing to sit and talk to you sometime.
Pardon?
I'd be more than willing to sit and talk with you sometime.
And I don't know what I've done.
Okay?
But the comment you made last week, I have no idea.
Okay. I'll be willing to sit and talk
And
to
I
you.
felt very hurt by it.
Well, I think after you,
Pardon?
I think after you and I sat and talked sometime, why, you'll probably understand why I said that.
You name the time and the place, and I'll be
Okay.
there, sir.
All right, I'll just make a call, find you somewhere, and we'll come talk.
Okay.
All righty?
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything they want to mention while we have this little bit of time?
Well, like I say, I talked to a couple of people that they mowed up on D&L Road, and they throwed all there's a whole bunch of piles of sunflowers and stuff on the road. It was dangerous. They thought they was going to run over somebody that was going to, a deer was coming in there because people were pulling out and everything. It was just big piles of weeds and stuff you couldn't run over. It was all on top of the road, so.
Yeah. That was on 290th, when they did that last week, and it did, it covered almost the whole road. And not just, a little bit, I mean, it was pretty thick coverage of grass, which did make it rather hazardous. And I seen that. Yes.
When it gets pretty tall like that, it's pretty hard to keep it from flying every direction. I don't know how you avoid that.
I know operator.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
It doesn't take nothing to mow ditches.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I don't know if there needs to be more training on behalf of their road and bridge employees or what, but I know they just redid the half-mile strip right there in front of the yard, and I wasn't terribly impressed with a lot of what I saw going on there.
I'm just saying, I know there's specifics everywhere across the county. It's the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
been ran down over the time, so it's good to fix the little things every here and again that people call out on, drive around.
Well, and they used to redo the roads fairly often. That one right north of my place there, that used to get redone every 4 or 5 years. I mean, I'm not that old, but I remember it happening
Yeah.
several times through the years, and that was just a dirt road, and they'd go through it and haul up ditches and
At my time,
more often than
our
they
house was
do
blacktop.
anyway.
I had a blacktop road in our house, and it's gone, and now the base is gone.
Mhm.
And like I say, the windrow thing, I'm not against leaving windrows. they cut. They're trying to get material, and they don't wanna take the weeds. So instead of taking the weeds, they try to dig deeper to make their crown, and instead of making a crown, they got a double ditch going. So I don't think they have, around us, there's not windrows, they're out of material, so they try to make a crown, and so they're digging 5 foot from the edge of the ditch. So, and we've talked with Jesse, and I guess he hasn't really done anything, or said anything. But like I said, you don't have to look very hard.
Yeah.
And it's not just incidentals, it's a structure of the entire thing, I would say.
It is.
Along with personnel, and I
Yeah,
understand, and I understand training. I mean, like I said, I'm not qualified to do anything, and I don't claim I know how to do anything. But I can assure you from the little bit of stuff I've done, whether it's mowing a ditch or I feel I could do a pretty good job with the dozer blade on the front of a tractor. I've never ran a grader, but I feel that I bet I could figure it out, not that long. And I think the problem is they have tunnel vision. You know, I don't know if they're told goals at the beginning of the day. I don't know what they're told, but I feel that if it's off to the side, you know, we have this many miles to get over, and if they go across, they drag it twice, move it across, and if they didn't fill up that hole in that one drag, they don't look at the hole that they just drove through. They don't, you know, they made the pass across the road. Their job is done. They covered their miles. Problem solved.
To add on to that, you used to see him get out and run a shovel every now and again. That wasn't uncommon, driving down the road, cleaning out culverts, you know, doing this or that, whatever, and
Yeah, John's about
that didn't happen no more.
You don't see that anymore.
No.
No. I understand.
Clint Cropa.
I'm Tom Morning.
It used to be, you always saw a shovel hanging off the back of a maintainer, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, like on all our feeding loaders, there's a shovel. If there's a puddle of water in the corral, even that gets.
like I said, I'll patch holes there by the. I mean, I'll take our rock and dab them in because it doesn't really do any good to ask, and I'm not big on that because, like I said, I know it's a lost cause, but so that's where we just do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I know it's everywhere, so that's where I'm not digging because it's a bigger problem than what I got around. So.
I'd like to talk about Diamond on between 330th and 350th, where all those little white trucks drive.
Yes.
We have got so many potholes. He's trying to fix stuff today, but where there's no rock, there's no nothing to fix it with. And all those white trucks drive up and down that road constantly, and there are potholes all down the middle of the whole road. And then there are big mud spots as wide as this room across the whole road. Diamond's never been like that. It's always had a hard base and never ever had big potholes and stuff like that, and it's terrible. And I know that's what's been doing it, is probably those white trucks, all that extra.
Sir?
I moved to Marion County in 2005, and for about 9 years I lived on 80th and Wagon Wheel. And we had a fellow that did the maintaining on 80th Street, and he was proof to me that you can do an excellent job maintaining these roads.
Yes.
Because some people complained about that road, but he always had it in good shape, and he always had the snow cleared within a day after a storm. So with the right training, I think people can really do a good job, and do for the most part.
Well, we spend a lot of money on training. I don't know what the problem is, but we spend quite a bit of money in training, and have been for quite some time. So I don't know where the breakdown is, but I don't know if we need to save money on training or if we need to do something different because the training isn't anymore working.
Well, the results you look at.
Right, well, the results tell you. The results tell you right there.
Oh, I'd say probably work ethic, integrity. They don't care what, you know, they have nothing to stand behind to say, you know, they don't need to be proud of a road. They're just, it's a job. They got a time in, time out, miles to cover.
Yeah.
You know,
Job accomplished.
a long time ago, a lot of the old maintainer guys that had been on the job for years and years kind of took ownership, you know. of
Well, that, and they were probably more local.
Well, I can say, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
drove down the road
You know,
other than when they
and,
drove
you
down
know,
the grader.
Right.
Jesse he does try to hire people that are kind of live in that area, but it's been real
I can
difficult
imagine.
to do that.
First priorities, but then our wages sometimes don't, for a young person, don't come up to what they can raise a family on.
Correct.
So,
But I don't see where the wages has anything to do with, I mean, if you take a job and you agree to work for X amount, whatever that X amount is,
Well-
you still need to apply integrity to do the job for what you agreed upon doing.
Henry,
Yeah, quality, if you're gonna do it, you do it right.
If,
Whether,
yeah, if the wages don't suit you, you don't take the job.
I'd rather them put in half the time if they was, every mile that went over, they would actually pay attention to them. Put in half the miles on the graders and actually,
That's, yeah, another thing.
actually do a good job. Like I said, I guarantee Marion County, if they cut half the graders, half the operators, qualified ones, and actually do a
Good job.
accomplished job when you get over it, you'd be better off.
Well, I know Cedar Street here, straight north out of town here, back in May, June, that was getting graded 2-3 times a week. Do we really need to be grading the same stretch of road 3 times a week? I mean, I'd count them.
Well, and minimum maintenance roads. See, I think they like
That's another
they like
thing,
playing
too.
on minimum maintenance roads. Because there's one road there by Pilsen that thing had no more need to be graded than ever, and that is like a highway. I think they like playing dirt where there's not rock and that, and there's, they get it's a play, and I'd call it like a little play stretch. It's good, probably good training to let them figure out what to do, but it's just some of the roads they
I
like
wonder why
playing
they
on.
would pick that one, because there's a lot of roads surrounding that one that could use some attention.
Well, but like I said, but since it's a minimum maintenance, if they mess something up, it's not, no skin off, it's there, but they get to play with it.
So, okay, well, I'm gonna pull the meeting back to order again. Bud is here, we're gonna get back on schedule, and then we'll get back on roads here in just a little bit, because that is coming up on the agenda. Bud, go right ahead.
okay. A week ago Friday, our crane broke down again down at the transfer station. Got the cone craned in, get the part off, the motor was falling off the top of the crane. The bolt stripped out, they took it in to machine shop, and we should have it back this week. It's gonna cost us anywhere from $450 to $650. It come out pretty cheap this time. Yeah, that's cheap compared to what we have been spending on it. I guess mainly, if something happens again, how much do you wanna commit? Cause this is something that we have to operate on. And right now I'm borrowing one of Road and Bridge's rope tire hooks. And since it's a short term, otherwise we would've probably had to lease one again like we did last year when we had that other situation.
we're looking
So,
at 6 months before we probably have a kid or anything. Or maybe
probably
more.
that,
Maybe
probably that long.
June, maybe.
May, June of next year, probably before we move over into the other pit, with
8 or 9
the new,
months.
Well, because,
I mean, 3,000 or 5,000 is for 6 to 8 months. If it's 10,000 for 6 or 8 months, or do we apply that money to purchase a machine, go ahead and start the purchase of a machine, and have a machine so that if the crane does just finally just blow up? I think that's our options, the way I look at it, is whether we start the procedure to go ahead. We know that somewhere in June or July, at least, we would have a new pit to where we're gonna have this machine, so.
Well, we can't afford to take a piece of equipment away from Road and Bridge when they need everything.
Yeah,
no, that's what I try not to do,
So I think
luckily I
that's
hit a spot.
probably, I don't know what kind of limit, I just happened to be down there and saw this thing hanging out there the other day and asked where we was at, so that's sort of, I think that's probably maybe the reason why Bud just asked him, so he knows where to shut it off at. Whether somebody comes down and gives a $10,000 offer to repair the thing, why do we wanna entertain that? I mean, I think that's a commission's decision, and that's what he's
I've
asking.
started the process of the bids from the 3 companies that I know of, we're getting machine from, so. I should have that by the 1st of October, so we can look at that. It's something that's gonna come in. I requested they have it here by the 1st of October, so
Great.
we can look at that then, and
just, you know, hopefully nothing does. We're babying everything down there. We have to operate, but we're just lucky that nobody got hurt with this
Yeah.
situation because it
Could've
came
come
over
down.
the side and just hung by the electrical cable
Oh, really?
up there. And Martin was standing right there and it could have easily fell down because the oil just dripped right in front of him. And he looked up and he jumps back, you know, because he's seen it. So, but anyway, that's why I'm trying to
Yeah.
see what you want to do, you know, hopefully nothing does happen before I get the figures so we can look them over and stuff. So. But anyway, just wanted you to be aware that this happened. We should have it back together this week, they're hoping, so.
Okay, that sounds good.
So, anyway,
Yeah.
What did we pay before when we had the lease for a while?
it was about $1,200 a month, was what we were paying on that mini excavator, you know, because that worked out so much better. That way we weren't closing down the tipping floor while we were packing the trailer and stuff, so. But that's, you know, we have,
I don't think we wanna throw big money at that crane.
no.
That's where I'm at anyway, and I just thought maybe if the commission could make a decision on some sort of budget, max budget that you wanna throw at it, why, even 5,000 is at 4 years of a lease with a machine.
Yeah.
At 1,200 a month, you said? Oh, no, just 1,200 a month.
Yeah, see, if they wouldn't have been able to fix it at the machine shop, it would have been quite costly. I don't know how much for sure. The mechanic guy was just kind of throwing out a figure to me, and I'm not even going to say, because it was in the thousands of dollars. It wasn't as much as what we spent the last time, but it would be a pretty good chunk of money, so.
But this time, it's not the account.
This time, it's, yeah, $650 at the most is what the machine said if he had to do one thing, but he's thinking that the lease amount would work. So.
You'll have a service call on top of that too, though.
Well, we'll have service call on top of that for coming, and then another one for bringing it back and putting it back on, so. So we're probably,
Yeah.
probably another 1,000, maybe 2, I don't know. They're getting pretty expensive. And then I heard from Caw Valley, they have submitted the plan to the city of Marion to get a permit to build
Okay.
the shop office. So as soon as they get that back, they will be down to talk with you and submit it out to bids.
Okay,
So
that's
we're
good.
getting even closer on the shop office area, and that's the only thing I have, so.
That's all you have?
Yes.
Okay.
All the other departments going on, the recycle bins are being shipped, hopefully today. I got word they were done Friday, and the trucking company called me and got all my information, and she said she'd send an email when they were shipped. They would probably be loaded today and headed out. We should receive them this week sometime, so I can get them. We usually paint them with graphite paint inside, so it unloads easier in the winter and when it's wet.
Yeah.
As soon as we get the insides painted, which Doug will take care of that just pretty quick once they get in, and then we'll get them put where they need to go. At least 2 of them. The other 2 that go in Hillsborough, I don't know if they're ready for them yet or not, but I'll check with them. But I know Peabody's ready for theirs, and then we're putting one up here at the elementary school in Marion too. So anyway.
Good.
And HHW, I'm still getting a lot of paint and stuff.
Very good.
There.
Are you still spraying weeds or
Oh,
not?
yeah, yeah, we're still spraying when we can. The rain held us off for a while, and then the wind hurts us too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're concentrating. Right now, it's mainly down south. The Johnson grass and cerise is real bad down there. And that's where if we do get a complaint from up north, we go up and hit it if we can. So that's what we got. So.
Okay.
Lloyd, you talked about that area, Straub building, about Johnson grass. That's when we called Bud the other day when you was in there.
Yeah,
And it was mowed already, I think, before that day that we was talking about it.
it got moved by 3 in the afternoon.
Well, it was mowed already, all I knew when I looked at it, but anyway, the city of Marion was working on that and talking.
Yeah, but they still got more in behind her on that wheeler
Yeah.
ground, behind the new lumberyard.
I went and talked to them about it, and I told them any place you have Johnson grass to spray it. They came up and bought the chemical the other day, and I told them, I said,
I just see it looking through the gate, I can see
Right.
it back there.
right.
I don't know how much is there, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of it around this town for sure.
Well, you
There's
used
a,
to hay then.
well,
Somebody swapped in hay, but I
well,
don't know what
that's
happened. to
okay
it.
if it's not went to seed, but if it's gone to seed, that's against the law, so.
I don't want none on my place, let's put it that way.
I think that's why we're having such a problem where we have it, is because it gets baled and the seeds drop off and
Yes.
stuff. And I can't catch everybody.
Carl, you had something you want to add?
Yeah, I wanted, just wondered, what's the average tonnage on a semi with the waste going to El Dorado?
It's around, we try to have it between 18 and 20 ton. Yeah. We try not to go over 20 ton, but anywhere in that. And we don't have a set amount that we have to pay for, like you know, other people who contract with somebody else, they have to have a certain amount, and if they don't meet it, they still have to pay for that. So, but we try to do 18 to 20 ton. Once in a while, we get up a little heavier than that, and the trailer's not full because of the stuff that the people bring in, so, you know. So,
Yeah,
that's what we shoot for, is 18 to 20 ton.
Yeah, I didn't know whether you get that much on trash.
It just depends on what you get, and if it's wet, and how good it gets packed in there and stuff, so.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't have anything, you got
That's
anything?
it? Do you have anything, Ken?
No,
Okay,
You have any, okay. Thank you, bud.
yep, thank you.
Have a good day.
Yep.
All right. Well, Linda, we're running way early today, so you're here.
I'm good.
Well, let's go right, move in. You're next on the agenda then.
Okay.
Just that I don't know if other people were gonna show up or not, so.
Oh, yeah, do you think maybe they would, because we can wait. I mean, we could do something else if you think somebody else is gonna show up.
Well, they can get into the discussion and afterwards, it'll give us a little more time for discussion then if we needed to. So, I'm good, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
okay. your
I
call.
have, so I don't wander from the discussion of what I want to present. I have actually made a presentation for you
Oh,
guys.
thank you.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
That's good.
And anybody else that want? Okay. Okay. Okay, well, I'm here today as a trustee of the Liberty Township, chairperson of the County Road and Bridge Committee, and also a taxpayer of Marion County. Discussion of county roads continued to plague the agenda for years. Nearly 1.5 years ago, I asked District 1 Commissioner Kent Becker to drive the roads that he serves so he has an understanding of what his taxpayers are facing, which he did, very generously. Kent told me at that time that he couldn't believe that these roads were in that bad a shape, and he concurred that something needs to be done. He also felt that there were many roads maybe out in Marion County that could be in the same condition, but he just didn't have the answers, which we don't. From that discussion sprang the idea of developing a volunteer county-wide committee to look at what could be done for improvement of roads, which the county commissioners expressed interest and gave approval to do so. Fast forward to 8 months later, December 18, 2017, this committee then brought forth recommendations that could improve techniques, management, and communication with the taxpayers. It was at that meeting, Mr. Dahlke, that the discussion concluded that when the townships have their meeting, that Mr. Ham and a representative from the county, which was suggested the commissioner for that township, come to the meeting to discuss with the residents and taxpayers what was happening and plans for their township. This was to assist with the lack of communication with the taxpayers that in that committee was identified as a serious concern. That is exactly what Liberty Township did. That is the only recommendation right now to this date that has been fulfilled from the results of that committee. So I guess, Mr. Dahlke, I was shocked by your negative reaction at last commissioner's meeting after learning that this actually took place. Fast forward approximately 8 months later, August 9th, 2018. At our annual township meeting, we developed an organized agenda to discuss. From that agenda, discussion of roads and their conditions ensued. Mr. Ham stated that he was sorry that the District 1 had not had graders in their district for approximately 3.5 months, but he had a plan of bringing many graders into the district. When asked when that might happen, such as 1 month, 3 months, Jesse stated he would not give any time commitment as to when that would happen, but only that he would get to it and that we needed to be patient. When asked about the unmowed weeds on the sides of the roads, which results in more destruction of the roads through narrowing and inability to grade the sides of the road, which then also leads to bigger issues this winter. When snow blocks the roads, Mr. Ham stated to the township that there would not be any mowing except along blacktops, as the county only had 1 mower and his department was out of money. Several individuals in the audience indicated that they guessed they would need to mow around their fields, but what about further down the road where residents didn't have answers? Or didn't have mowers. Jesse said he thanked the farmers and that he had an employee who was mowing his own ditches, and Jesse told that employee it was okay for him to log those hours and to make sure he filled his gas tank from the county. When the Liberty Township asked if they could assist the road and bridge and determine the priorities of the roads, Mr. Ham indicated that he would talk to us, but that he made the final decision, even though we are the residents that drive them every day, and we are the elected officials for that designated township. It was also at that meeting, that discussion about how many roads in Liberty Township needed to have signs put up to indicate that either the road is completely gone or hazardous for driving, as someone was going to be seriously injured or killed until they are fixed. Again, Mr. Ham apologized for the condition of our roads, as our county commissioner, Mr. Becker, listened and indicated that we should not be too hard on Jesse, as his job is a thankless job. After the conclusion of that meeting, our township felt betrayed, frustrated, and confused. We could not believe that after showing our county commissioner the roads nearly 1.5 years ago, and he agreeing that they were in horrific shape, that we were then told the county had completely stopped working on them for almost 3 months. Some of the serious roads 1.5 years ago are now completely gone. Who developed this plan and who agreed to it? As once again, there was no communication to anyone. It was at that time some of the members of the township trustees decided that maybe the chairperson of the commissioners needed to actually see the condition of the roads, as maybe there was resistance within the county as to the seriousness of the roads. So I contacted her as a trustee, township trustee, chairperson of the committee, and also a taxpayer, even though she was not my commissioner. She was very happy to come look. Her reaction was of dismay, horror, and disbelief that roads could be this bad in Marion County, and questioned why they had not been on the agenda. She thanked me many times for asking her to see them, as she would not have believed it if she hadn't seen them, and words could not describe how bad they were. She thought I was going to show her just one road, not all of them. I stated to her that we have been patient for over a year, and most of these roads, people in these communities have to drive every day, and the rest were roads farmers and ranchers need access to on a weekly basis. I, as a trustee, committee member, and taxpayer, have done everything that I know possible. Our roads are now gone, and the ones that we have left are in very serious condition, and the county continues to tell us to wait and be patient. There is no more wait, as they're now gone. I have also reached out to you, Mr. Dahlke, as he said he was willing, as you were willing to do at the last commission meeting, to have you ride them to visually understand the seriousness of this situation, but you haven't returned my phone call. There are at least 3 townships that are in dire need of serious attention in certain areas that I have included with this presentation. It is my opinion, after this much of neglect, graders will not be able to fix roads that are literally gone. There has to be a long-term plan, which needs to include educated people, who have experience in these issues and more than a plan of getting a farmer to their field during harvest, because there is now no road for anyone to get down. There also needs to be open discussion of how roads in different areas will need different approaches of how they are maintained, and the training of how that is done instead of them making the graders figure it out, who then just quit because they're so overwhelmed and everyone's yelling at them. This can no longer be an idea, an experiment, or I don't know what to do, so I don't do anything. The roads are dangerous and gone, yet no signs indicating that. People are going to get hurt driving them. I cannot say that enough to get my point across. As the trustee of Liberty Township, chairperson of the committee, and also a taxpayer, I'm asking for a meeting to sit down with the commissioners and Road and Bridge, along with fellow township trustees from neighboring townships, to actually develop a long-term plan and hopefully build on the plan that Mr. Hand has for that area, and on what we are going to do with these roads in Liberty, Minnow, and Lehigh townships. I believe that these three townships are really done with excuses, theories, and that I hope and are ready to move into more of a solid plan that can be long-term and budgeted for. Openness and sharing the long-term plans would enable the residents, township trustees, and landowners to know what to expect. This meeting needs to be organized and cannot be held in the middle of a day when everyone would need to take off work or leave their fields to be able to come. Because this meeting needs to be held when the majority can come, not the few, so that when no one shows up, it appears there's no problem. Let me be clear. The problem has been identified, and today is the first day to get it done. I would like to respond to a statement from the last meeting. Mrs. Peters knows about the squeaky wheel and that she is using her power to get things done. I will respond as I have every time that tactic is used. I hate that process. I believe it has no place in government. When addressing problems like no mowing, lack of mowers, tractors needing repairs, no graders in the districts, rock not meeting specs, and the serious condition of the roads, these things should have been brought to the commission by the supervisors, not the concerned public. Yet, the commissioners claim they do not know of these concerns until prompted by residents of the county. I'm coming forward for every resident that lives in Lehigh, Minnow, and Liberty Township that the wait is over. The roads are gone. And the time for planning for future of these roads was yesterday. No one at this county level should be angry that I've gone around someone's back, or that I've brought up these concerns before the commissioners, or the excuse that they don't know which roads, because everyone knows about the problem, and we should be focused on resolving that problem. The next 3 pages that I have are addressing if they are 2 slashes, that means the roads are completely gone. You cannot drive them. You can't drive them at all. The 1 is that there's serious issues there, but they are fixable. So in each one of those, and again, it rained, so I can't get down any more of them. But I have tried to address what's happening in Minnow, what's happening in Liberty, and what's happening in Lehigh. I don't have the answers. It appears that if you start looking at this, platting this down, you can see that the Cottonwood River, or that stream, is the main culprit in that area. But then we need to be addressing that. We need to be getting experts in to know how to do that. And I'm tired of complaining about graders not doing their jobs. I feel sorry for the graders. It's got to be an overwhelming job at this point. And if they're not trained or given ideas of how to fix it, they can't fix them. They're not fixable. And these roads that are got 1 line, if we wait any longer, they're going to have 2 lines on them. And all I'm asking is for a meeting. I mean, the gist of this is It's over. We gotta do something. So we either need to have a meeting. You don't want a chaotic meeting, which I get. I mean, I guarantee you, I could have filled this room. But that's not what we want. We want it organized. We need to move forward. We need to have something happening. We need to have possibly an engineer come in and look at these roads that are gone. And give us some ideas, and give us a long-term plan, and communicate with these townships. I'm sorry, with all the townships, that continues to be a serious problem. Because people are angry, so the first person they see is the grader. So he gets it. Shouldn't be him, so. I don't know if there's any graders in here, but I'm sorry, just let you know.
I responded to one of your, I think your call was last Monday. When I picked it
Yes.
up. Yeah, that's when I picked it up.
No, I called it Sunday,
Okay.
Sunday evening.
I didn't get it till Monday. So I heard that, then it rained this week, so I knew it wasn't gonna do no good to probably.
Sure.
But then the other one is, the reason why I talked about the township meetings is as long as we can come in and talk about them, but what I don't want is a township meeting where we had it at the Lake Hall.
Well, absolutely.
And that's what you just said. And that's why I said that comment.
And that's why I felt like I needed to come and clarify what had happened. We have done, I feel like, as residents, as landowners, as taxpayers, we've done everything we know possible to do. And we can't have just a plan. We need to know what that plan is.
And I don't think you need to stop where you stopped at. I think you need to go onto Wilson on 180.
Well, right.
On Cottonwood River.
Right,
That whole
right.
thing comes down through
Right.
there. And that's,
And we need to look at other ways of possibly maintaining. I know we have approximately, I believe, 39 miles of dirt road. Well, 39 miles possibly in our township. So dirt roads have to be maintained differently than gravel. Even if they're bad gravel, it holds the soil. So if you have no ditches and dirt roads, they're going down the road. They're just going down the creeks. That's all that's happening. Too dry, so we can't do nothing. Now it's too wet, we can't do anything. I don't know, it's either gonna be too wet or too dry, someplace down the road. We should have been cleaning out culverts, we should have been cleaning out trees, but that's yesterday. We need a plan in our township, in our district. And we need more communication, so. And I'm sorry I misspelled your name.
Well, Linda, I appreciate you coming and bringing this before the commission. I can't dispute anything that you said. I seen the roads. I'm almost thinking, and I don't know, maybe the commission can discuss this, I'm almost thinking maybe we should consider maybe private contracting some roads to get some help or expertise in here till we can get them back into shape. I don't know, maybe we can look at the dollars to do that. We need to look at something.
We have utilized a few times on some small areas, some independent type contracting, but, you know, it's like Linda said, some of those, we're gonna have to have an expert look at and say, where do you even start? I mean, we can't just go out there with a machine, because there's too many roads in those townships that there is no ditch. There hasn't been a ditch for a long time, and actually there'll probably have to be might even be some areas where we have to get fences moved, you know, just because there's been erosion and different things like that. And
Well, what I'm also saying is Jesse has said here at the meeting several times that, you know, he just can't, he doesn't know what to do. He said that, so he needs help.
And he's also said that to us.
Yes.
You know, when I brought him out to show him one road that half the culvert was showing, that I showed you a year and a half ago, his first comment was, oh, when he showed up, and I'm not trying to bash Mr. Ham.
It is what it
I'm
is.
not there. I don't, and that's not my style. And so, but his comment was, oh, I was hoping you weren't gonna talk about this road. Cause I really don't know what to do with that. Well, we gotta not do nothing on those roads, because then we're gonna have to close them. And I know your feelings about closing, but I don't know. It's gonna cost a lot of money at this But all those lines that I've marked are going to be double marked if we don't start doing something.
And I agree that it's gonna take a lot of money, and I hate to say that, but it's, I wanna say we brought it on ourselves. And so, we can't just turn our backs like you said, we're gonna have to just do what we have to do to get it done. And if it's bring in experts, or if it's bring in, private contractors or whatever, I'm on board with it.
And I feel like it shouldn't be just you guys and Road and Bridge. It involve us. We are saying that we will be a part of that meeting. Everyone will be a part, and maybe not big like Marion County, but at least take your elected officials and include them. That's what we were elected for.
See on your map here in your township, Liberty Township, right there on 180th, which I know is probably down through there some, but every one of those marks is where it's all, you can see a draw line through, which means brick coming through one way or the other. Is it all around bridges? Is it due to the river area around the draws, or?
Some of it is culverts that are clogged, so that we're not getting it down. Some of it is the ditches are closed. I'm real concerned now that, I understand that you did get a mower, but only after all this came, was brought about. But, but now the weeds are so large that to mow them on no ditches, it's only gonna impede that water down those roads more. It's gonna cut them out. So, but yeah, there's trees in the ditches that needed to be cut out, that could have all been done during dry time. And so, yeah, it's very serious. I don't know, Diane told me many times over, I just couldn't believe unless you would have. So, I would like to know by next meeting what the plans could be. I'm not going away. This is my,
We had scheduled an October 1st meeting, but that's a daytime. Maybe we need to change that. I don't know.
Well, I think we need to address this separate from that as well. I mean, something needs to start happening over here. I can't turn my back on these people anymore. We need to really do something here. This is really bad.
Well,
and I'm not sure anyone.
We have
I'm
to
sorry.
decide what that first step is. Does that mean some professional observation?
I think it needs
I mean, I
professional
think,
something, yes.
to me, that's the first step, is some type of professional observation.
Well,
That
and
basically means hiring an engineer or someone with that kind of expertise to spend a little time looking at them and then telling us what the fix is.
Right.
They're the ones that actually come up with the fix.
right.
Doing anything else.
And then training, whoever's going to be doing that needs to be trained on how to do it, so they're not left out there to fix it. I know, I know that is a huge issue right now because they're just so overwhelmed they quit. So, and I apologize. I apologize for the community, but that's how frustrated everyone is. So,
Well, and I apologize to you and all the people out there that had to deal with this and brought you to the boiling point. It should not have happened. And I am very sorry for that. Ma'am?
May I address the commission?
Please.
Cheryl Dirksen from Meadow Township, and I just want to say that we ditto everything that Linda has presented. And what we as a township board did after our August 15 meeting is we wanted to communicate with Jesse and the commission that we sent a letter. We sent it to Jesse. It was the last week in August. We have had no acknowledgement from Jesse. Have you?
No.
That he has, one, received the letter or that anything that we suggest in the letter is being addressed. And we offered some suggestions. And the bottom line it's all about communication. The bottom line to our last sentence was, in the long run, good roads will provide economic growth to our county. The Meadow Township Board would like to schedule a meeting to discuss on how we might be able to work to together to improving conditions for our residents. We don't know what the master plan is. It's secret. It could be on the website. We could have a meeting where, as already has been suggested, but we are feeling like we have very little input on our roads, and we are elected officials, and communication is our concern.
Thank you. Lloyd?
I happened to drive them roads over by you, 2 miles south of Lehigh, about a week ago. Now, if I wouldn't have had a 4-wheel drive pickup, I wouldn't have made it. Ruts that deep, grass that high in the middle of the road. I feel my heart goes out for them people.
I agree. I agree. Yes.
How can we have a superintendent that keeps telling people, I don't know what to do? He should know what to do. That's his job. And why do we keep having to hire people so that he can know what to do? He should already know what to do. That's his job, and we shouldn't have to pay someone else to come in and look at our roads. That's my rant.
Thank you. Yes.
Every head of the road and bridge or whatever, like Jesse, where did he start? Everybody comes from the next person down and they just move up. And so they've been trained by the people that made this, and they don't know anything about that. So it's just, it's literally, it's like, it's passed down to generation to generation to generation of not knowing.
Good point. Good point.
So he doesn't, and so I'm not saying he hasn't had training, but I'm just saying every person that's been above him that he's seen, and there's been a lot in my life that have gone through that I know he's seen. They've gone and left, did whatever, no, but that's who he's watched over the years and everything.
Right.
So it's, everybody is so it's in such an inner circle that no one from outside has really seen it. I'm not saying an engineer, because that's money spent to someone says, wow, it's a bad problem, yeah, just run the grade better. But fixing them is a big thing, but it's the sake of, it's just passed down to the next person every time the top dog leaves.
Well, another thing, if they'd actually pay attention to the input from the landowners, I know, like I said, they redid our right there on Cedar Street north of town, and I know Dad, we gave them several things that we would have liked to see done, because, you know, the people that live there, they watch that water run down that road. They know exactly where it wants to go even before the road wasn't there, and they know where that water's headed, they know where it's coming from. They would be the ones that would have the input that would actually be beneficial, because they've lived there for however many years and could actually know what's going on.
Right, right. And I agree with every one of you. I still say we need, when we bring somebody in, it needs to be somebody with knowledge. So I'm leaning towards engineer, because
Talk to the community.
I'm just thinking we need to get something done.
Well,
Right.
years ago, this county had an engineer. I guess it's been many years. I don't know how many years it's been. I guess, but anyway, we did. There's a lot of counties in the state that do have a county engineer. A lot of them, I suppose, that don't. But, you know, we would need to look at the budget and see what we could come up with to at least have money budgeted for that type of engineering. I mean, we get engineering when we do some big overlay project and that kind of thing, but we have not budgeted for I guess you'd call it preservation work.
Well, I disagree with you, Mr. Becker, respectfully. I'm thinking maybe if you're looking at roads in the long term, look at the budget going in the long term. But I'm talking about addressing a serious problem that we have right now.
Right.
So therefore, I'm thinking that we're gonna have to just, again, talk about what we have to do.
Yeah, I'm talking
and do
about
it.
long term, but I also know we're gonna have to spend some money short term.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, short term, and then get these problems where these people at least have a decent road, or roads, I'm sorry. And then, and we do, long term is pertinent, so that we don't get back into this ugly position again. So I'm all in favor of just, we need to look at what we need to do. Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I just want to say, it kind of, and I've never had cancer, so I'm not going to say that it's just like cancer. But in some ways it is. It's a problem that is just eroding, it's getting worse. And if you went in and had a diagnosis of cancer, and your doctor said, well, we're not gonna spend that much money on you, we don't really know what to do, but let me try some of these things. You'd wanna try to get some experts in to try to help you make those decisions. So, I'm just saying, this is our livelihood. These people out here, this is our livelihood. This is what we are going to be passing down. This is what I get up every morning for. So, and just be told, I'm impatient, I need to wait, and then actually be like my doctor going on vacation for 4 months, you know, in the middle of all of it. I would be finding a different doctor. So,
Yeah.
just saying.
And they do that.
Sir.
I'll say another thing on the sake of a short-term fix. I don't think that's a very good thing because their long-term plan isn't functional. So to try to fix it short-term, and that means them they're going to be rushing to try to get over stuff and do it fast. That is the last thing. they
No,
should be
I'm not
attempting.
suggesting that at all.
I'm saying even fix like it's. I'm saying not only the quality work, but I'm saying it's. I think it's. We know it's bad past short-term. I'm going to say.
Yes.
Because it needs to be building. So to say go and fix things right away, I think would be a bad thing.
Well, I think there's some roads that need to be
Okay.
fixed so that they can get in and out. I mean,
Okay, yep, okay, yes.
yes, sir.
I think as a society, we have a tendency to want to rush to hire experts. And I think before you rush to an expert, examine your local talent first. There may be a landowner here that has the answer to this problem. There may be a road grader that can see the answer to that problem that we're having with these roads. Get the meeting that these folks want. Check out your local talent before you spend all that money to go get a so-called expert.
Who was the guy that used to, his name was Norm,
Norm Bowers.
and does
Yeah.
he not do any of
Oh,
that
no,
anymore?
he's the state engineer and he will come in, yes.
And so we wouldn't have to spend extra money on him, right?
No,
So
not a whole
I'm
lot.
thinking,
And
why
even
couldn't
he
we
would
bring
know
him
it,
back
yeah.
in?
Yes. I've been sending Norm pictures. He's pretty much aware of what's happening. So, and of the roads.
That would save us a lot, I think, is
Yeah,
to have
so,
him come
but
in.
we need to, you know, talk to him or something if that's what the desire of the commission is, but that would not be a lot of money, on the OnStar, at least to get his opinion to start with, or have him look at it, or whatever. I'm just saying, it is
Right.
start of somewhere.
Oh, well, I think about that, you guys are looking at more of a broader picture, whereas these roads need to be focused on as more of a mile by mile type scenario. You know, if you come in here and you give one guy, there's something like 3,600 miles of roads in the county, that's gonna be a 4, 5, 6 year project just right off the bat.
Well, I think, no, what you're saying, and what I hear over and over and over again, and what I see over and over again, wherever you're at in the county, the problem is the same. We don't have crowns, we don't have ditches, we don't have mowing, our culverts are clean, or clogged. So, learning how to crown the roads, get the ditches, and make sure there's not the big windrows and all that stuff, is what we need to learn. Once we learn that, we can apply that all throughout the county and probably solve a lot more problems right there. Like I say, we do spend a lot of money in training. I question the type of training that we're receiving because it's not working. So there's another issue. Maybe they're not being trained, I don't know. But I'm just saying, we need to look at something else. We know what we're doing isn't working. And I don't want to discredit the local talent. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying
I'm
that,
not saying the answer's here, but I'm
Right.
saying that we owe it to ourselves,
mhm,
you as commissioners, anybody in a leadership position, and us as taxpayers,
mhm,
to check first.
mhm. And I understand that. I do understand that. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes you can, there's some things like this situation in these roads, and others throughout the county, there's others throughout the county as well, that have been left go for so long that they do need it to be addressed immediately. Not everyone, but there's pertinent ones to serve our taxpayers.
I don't think it's all training either. I think the lady pointed out frustration these guys have. You as commissioners, always 90% of what you hear is belly aching. Once in a while, tell those guys, good job. If they have pride in what they're doing, they will do a better job.
Yeah, we addressed that a little bit earlier as far as having a little integrity in their work. We were talking about that a little earlier, yes.
That would go a long way, I think, in helping the people that actually do the work to do the work well.
And maybe, maybe part of that first meeting is sitting down and really looking at what are roads. You guys have visited, you should look at them. I've identified quite a few of them. And then looking at maybe Mr. Bauer coming in and talking about, okay, this is the river, this is where the water is all flowing down through this. You know, these roads are gonna have to be treated a lot differently. What are the ideas to treat those roads versus, let's say, and I don't know, maybe east of Hillsborough where it's flat, it's sandy, there's ditches. It's going to take a different way of dealing with those than the hilly. You know that. We
Sure.
all sitting in this room know that we have to treat roads differently. But anyway, so.
Got it, yeah. So, did you want to set a time to meet with these people to get the first meeting going, besides our general meeting in October?
One problem is that we are, this week, hopefully, the machinery is going to start running. And these dirt roads are in bad shape. Because as soon as it dries out, nobody in this room who's a farmer has any time to attend a meeting.
Right.
And a week, August 31, at that meeting, Mr. Dalkey, you made a big point. We need to get these roads fixed because harvest is coming. Well, yes, we all understand it rained, but okay, where is our maintainer right now for Menlo Township?
Where is it?
For this week, I mean.
Is there one?
Is there one?
Well, there hasn't been for 3.5 months, right?
Right.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know where it is.
I was told there wasn't even one of.
Wasn't there one out in Liberty last week?
And I've also understood that he has turned in his resignation
Yes, he did.
So if he's resigned, we have no one out there.
again.
Again, we have for months.
And part of the frustration is the roads are so bad, he's so overwhelmed, and he can't fix them anymore. He can't fix them, and he does have pride. He does have pride, and if you can't fix them, and everyone's angry, I'm sorry, you quit.
But it's true too, what you said. The roads say a lot about our county and bringing in homes and businesses. Yes, that is valuable roads. Who wants to move to a place where you don't have a road? Yes. So, I understand the money is valuable and important, but right now I'm not really seeing dollars. I'm seeing service to people that have been deprived of service and that are entitled to. I bet you guys pay a handsome taxes on that property out there.
And I think we're okay with it if there's results. But now it's even worse than what we ever, I started this a year and a half ago. I think I have been patient. I think we all have been patient. So, I think, yes, there needs to be a start of a meeting. And I understand what Carol is saying, that we're gonna be back in the field. I think there's probably gonna be some priorities set. If there's actually going to be something moving forward from a meeting to help us get these roads in condition, I think I can't speak for all of them, but I know a lot of them would be willing to give up an evening if we're going to do something instead of, well, we're gonna think about it. Let's talk about it. I hope.
Plan for whenever.
Yeah, I've got a plan, but I'm not gonna share it with anybody. Or I'm not gonna commit to that plan. We gotta quit doing that. we have to know what's gonna happen,
And we have to have something happen.
and something happened. So,
I do apologize to all of you. I'm sorry that this has happened.
We all do.
And, yeah.
We had set an October 1st meeting, but that was a daytime meeting. Do we need to reconsider?
I think we do.
Yes.
Yep. We need to reconsider. So, give us an idea, when would be a good time for you ladies and gentlemen?
On a rainy day.
We're looking at 60 days of pretty intense farm work right now.
Exactly.
And my opinion is that, I mean, if we're trying to schedule a meeting right now, as dear as the roads are to farmers, their priority is trying to eke out a living right now, because it's been tough. They aren't gonna let a crop sit in the field if they can be harvesting, or if they can plant wheat. And that's, or move cattle, whatever it is. Right now, we are in a crisis situation with our roads. We've got fields we can't access, and farmers will be doing whatever they can to get that crop out. But there's going to be situations where it's tough.
So how about if I propose that the commission, since this is a busy time coming up for you guys, and it might be a little hard to set an actual meeting right now, how about if we as a commission do bring in maybe, I'm just suggesting, maybe Norm Bowers or somebody, come out and look at the roads, kind of get a plan developed, or get ideas as to what we can do, what our options are, and so on, so that when we have a meeting, maybe we'll have something to present to you, or a time frame, so that we can be educating ourselves a little better as to what's out there.
I think people will respond better to information coming back, and I've shared this with others, that, as a board for Minnow Township, I've tried to communicate some of the needs of, I've tried to listen, and when there's multiple needs, people addressing some, if they have a concern, I ask the question, have you called it in? Yes, they have. They followed the protocol. Did you get a response? No, didn't get a response. And so I'm willing, as a board member for Minnow Township, to go ahead and make another contact. I personally will take no for an answer if the request is, we really need rock in this section, and they say, I'll go look at it, but don't get a response back, nothing, that doesn't help. But if it's a no, we don't see that it's necessary right now, I'm okay with that. I mean, it might frustrate people,
But
but I got an answer.
You weren't blown off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go for months and don't hear anything and no communication, that's when we get into these situations where people really get frustrated. And that's when they don't follow the protocol of going through the system, and everybody's phone starts ringing and everybody gets upset. And it's kind of like, even though it's reported that, well, we're current on all of our backlog of calls, I challenge that. I mean, I know that there's individuals that have called in and wanting a response and not getting it. And personally, I've been there. I've been there as a representative of our board. I've also got an issue that's been pending for 3 years on a culvert. I'll be patient.
Well, in the very short term, the maintainers need to all be running on the farmers' roads this week. What assurance can we get from you that that's going to happen?
I don't know about the rest of the commission, but I think regardless of the long term, short term, whatever you want to talk, but I think the biggest thing that will respond, anybody will respond, is seeing people in their area.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, if you haven't seen that, and that's something that, I don't know, has it been, I don't think it was, unless I missed it at maybe the pre-meeting or something before I didn't get here, but I don't know that we knew that anybody was gonna be out of an area for 3.5 months. I don't think it was ever told to us.
I didn't know that
And
was gonna happen.
I'm not just saying that, because I'm gonna ask Jesse when he gets up here, did you ever tell us that you was gonna have somebody out of an area? Because that's the same thing we talked about, how many years ago was the meeting? 2, 3 years ago?
July.
Yeah, and that's the same thing that, now, we have pulled people back when they he pulled a bunch of people up to the wind farm area to do the roads before they come in and to get them up in shape.
I think that was about a week and a half is what that.
Then we
took,
did
though.
that, but
Yeah.
nothing like 3 months.
No,
So
no,
that's,
he only did that for about a week or a week and a half.
and so I'm surprised to, to hear three and a half months. I don't know, that's a surprise to me.
Well, so we're gonna, actually, as I understand the board, we're gonna be talking to Jesse, and I'd like to make a commitment to these people that we're gonna have some road graders out on their roads.
But if we don't have people to operate them, then we're not gonna be able to do that.
I did make a
That's somebody
request to
resign.
Jesse on Friday to move a certain individual down there into that area. Whether he's there today or not, but I did make that request. One of our more experienced guys, and he was open to that. So
Appreciate that.
we'll see.
Okay.
So I wanna continue the dialogue there with Jesse, about, just,
And
get
I think
something.
that's great, Kent, but I'm gonna apologize right up front as a landowner for whoever that guy's coming from, because now their roads aren't gonna get fixed. So, I mean, that's the continuous broken
Right.
problem here.
But looking at his roads,
Sure.
it appeared to me that if there was one that could break loose, it would have been that
Okay,
individual.
and I appreciate that, so, but I'm just saying, that's where it's continuing to be a broken problem,
And
so.
if you talk to our graders, what you're talking with grader operators, if you take our whole county, there's a whole bunch of them that would rather be working right up in her area, right up in here where the wind farms are. They'd rather be working up here than be working down here at Wind Rock. And so there's different classifications in all these areas. And some of the grader operators, they don't like to go to the different areas to work because, and you hear that when we move them around to do that, but
that's just too
but just-
bad.
but
You
just,
need to do it.
yeah, but just if somebody's resigned and we don't have somebody already a vacancy out there trying to get somebody, we're gonna have to,
We're gonna have to do what we have to do.
if you don't have an operator, then you can't get a machine out there, and you don't wanna put a beginner out there in some of these bad conditions because.
Well, they'll quit.
Well, yeah, and then are they gonna do the right thing? I mean, that's
Right,
the-
right.
That's the,
Sure, our township grader, if you don't help out, because it hasn't too much good news there, so you can tackle something.
Well, I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
I'll donate our township grader, whoever he is, he can help out, because even
What
though he still
township are you
grades
in?
them.
Clear
it
Creek.
doesn't-
You're in
Both of us.
in what?
Clear Creek.
Clear
Clear
Creek.
Creek,
Yeah.
okay.
He said he could surely maybe do something there more than what he's doing there.
Okay,
So it sounds like training continues to be a big issue.
it is. Training is a big issue. Not a lack of it, but the type of training.
Appropriate.
Appropriate training, very good, yes.
And
Exactly right.
Caterpillar has a guy that, the last time that he was here, he didn't accept nothing but the best of work, and that's what he wanted to see. But it was in a lot of dirt situations too. I don't know, I didn't get to see him out. I know he could build a dirt road and make it perfect for what you're talking about, drainage and ditches. But whether we was out in some of the rocky areas or down into some of the mud holes down in the bottom of where these culverts apparently are due to the, look like you see the creek areas.
Yeah.
I don't know if they got down in there and did some of those, and that's probably where we need some good, if we bring that guy back again, which I would like to, if we get new operators, that'd be the person that I would bring back, but,
And I would ask also on that, Randy, we've been using Foley Cat for our training a long time. And I do know that the state puts on a lot of training. There's a lot of stuff out there from KDOT and so on and so forth that I think we need to go to a different form. The dollars are the same within very, very few, whether it's Foley Cat or whether it's these other people that's all they do is target roads. And I think we need to maybe look at a different form of trainer. I mean, we've had Foley Cat now for a long time doing the training.
this guy just come back like a year ago. That's the first time we've had him, very first time. We
Well,
haven't had him before.
I don't know who him is,
Yeah.
but I do know that we've had Foley Cat.
Right.
And I do know that that Jesse has spoke highly of him. And we've
Well,
used,
you go out and watch him, that's how I learned, I went out and watched him do his job out there with the people. And when you get a 30-year guy say, hey, there's things I can learn too, so, he was good.
And again, I think it goes back to what I said in our thing, that I'm not sure it's your job as commissioners to know where the roads are. I'm not sure it's your job to figure out what trainer should be training. It should be the person that you got hired bringing that information to you, and you guys having the confidence and getting this communication going in the county.
And you're right, but when we don't have that coming to us from our guy, then it's our job to fix it. And I think that's where we're at. So, we're going to work on getting your roads buffed up or whatever we can do and to make them accessible to you, and clean them up and stuff, and we'll work on here with the commission here. I know you guys are gonna be busy, but we'll see if we can arrange a time. Am I right, Randy? I'm not speaking, I tell you, you're willing to come up with a meeting here pretty quick, Jesse, and maybe some outside people or something?
And it could be 8 o'clock, an hour, 2 hours, and we set it at that. That's what I did with the county when we did the that committee that I worked on. We set it at, we'll meet this time, we're gonna set it for 1 hour. We concluded it at 1 hour, so that people knew what we were doing. And we had an agenda every time.
And I'd like to get some education myself from an expert or somebody else as to what we've been doing wrong, what we can do. So I would like some education myself from somebody outside.
Right.
To go forward.
Well, we need to cancel the October 1st meeting.
Why?
Okay.
That was just an in general meeting, actually. That wasn't really, that was in general
That
road
was a
bridge.
road bridge session,
Well,
wasn't
we
Connecting
can-
links and other stuff as well.
it? Well, connecting links, that's right. Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything else to add on this subject? Okay, hearing none?
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pretty kind of warm in here.
Real.
Yeah.
You're just taking the heat, that's all bad. Okay. It's cool on this side.
I'm gonna have one here. Have a good day, guys. Thank you very much.
Take care. See you guys.
Okay, so.
Okay, see ya.
All right. So I'll wait for Tina to get back here in a second. Okay, so next on the agenda will be the discussion of the administrator.
Did you, we also had that, you had wanted that EMS discussion on here for personnel. You had asked for information on, cost of what we paid Omni and then the billing, and that's in your packets.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure, I'm not sure if Jamie's coming over, but with the change in leadership, I don't know if we still want to look at any changes.
I think down the road, I would still like to look at the Omni building.
I do too, yes.
I think it's important we have some continuity going forward.
And I did talk to Jamie, and I thought that was a very good suggestion that you made, and I'd like to look at that down the road when the time is right. Looking at the Omni contract, we can't do anything with it anyway till I think May of next year, so, but anyway.
Yeah.
So, county administrator discussion. Kent, you brought it up, you wanna go ahead and go first?
Well, basically, I just wanted the commission's input of whether they are ready to start moving forward, maybe trying to
Patty, could you ask
Oh,
her to
yeah,
down
yeah.
just a little bit, please?
see if we need to bring in an expert to talk to us a little bit about that type of position. It's just a matter of whether we're ready to move forward. I mean, we budgeted, so I would kinda like, myself, I would like to start moving forward.
Kent, I'm sorry. Randy, do you have anything you'd like to add, your thoughts and feelings on moving forward, or what you think?
I think the county administrator can be good. It can be a sad thing too.
Sure.
Just look at our 2 cities in our county, or 3 that's had them.
Howdy.
And you can get a good one, and then you can get one that's a loafer. And
Not you.
Just gonna say, I just want
You already got it.
We're just discussing.
Are you feeling guilty about the loafer or what?
Apparently, yeah.
No, but, I've seen all sides of this position. The worst thing that I see is you don't only hire a county administrator, and you just look in Harvey County or Butler County, I don't know which one it was here just within the last month, 30 days, or that they bring in then they bring in a personnel person, or payroll person, and then they bring a financial person, and then they bring other people. There's two other people that usually goes underneath besides the administrator. Those two people below do the work, and this administrator takes the feed. And so you're looking at $250,000. I mean, time they get all three on board. So I don't know that Marion County's ready for that. That's where I'm at with it. I'm not saying that if a good administrator wasn't here, that it wouldn't be a good thing. But I'm just saying that it don't come cheap. You just don't hire an administrator.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a budgeted amount.
Yeah.
I don't think we're in any position to hire an administrator and then say, go out and hire your assistant. We're not in that position. So,
That's one concern of mine. I mean, as far as where later on down the road, they usually bring it back, and it just, she was talking about cancer, seems like it is. And so if they're good and they can prove themselves, then it's justifiable. But if they don't do that to you within, it's just like Economic Development Committee. If they don't show us something in 2 to 3 years, then I'm ready to move on, try something different. So I've said that all along, and I'll stick with my guns there, and I would, if I was to ever vote for this administrator, that would be a sort of a time frame that I would set to see just whether it's a good thing or a bad thing for the county. Sure.
Can you hire somebody based on 2 years, 3 years?
If they don't produce.
Did you want to say something? I thought.
Yeah, I'm definitely in favor of hiring a county administrator, and I think that both Marion and Hillsborough are great examples of communities that have city administrators. I've worked for a county, Ness County, that was ran by the county commissioners, and I can tell you as an employee, it's totally different. I loved Ness County. I like a lot of the people there, but the relationship I have with the city over in Hillsborough, with them having a skilled administrator, is great as an employee. Also, I'm sure you guys are aware, but you guys have got some serious dysfunctional problems at the county level, and that, to me, that's exactly why you need a county administrator. I know you made the point that, Harvey County has brought in all these assistants, but neither Marion or Hillsborough have an HR rep. We don't have a finance person. All those things are done by the city administrator, and I don't see that being any different coming to the county level. Harvey County is fairly, it's over double our size, so they may have the need for some of those other positions, but I would agree that that's not needed here. You just need somebody that can help you guys make the decisions, not make the decisions for you. You need somebody that's going to get the information together, present you guys with some options, make a recommendation, but that ultimately it's your choice. I see this person as really educating you guys using his experience and knowledge so that you guys can hopefully make the right decision. And so I would totally disagree that a county administrator is going to cost you $250,000. And I think that throwing out false facts is doing a disservice to the taxpayers.
Thank you.
And I do firmly think that that's why the vote failed last year.
Well, I think so. I think the fact that, yes, that's right, reading some of the articles, I don't even know where some of that information, some of those numbers came up, because we didn't discuss them here. So I think too that did scare me away. And then the fact that we didn't put out proper information. I think that was also a failure. And I feel guilty on that part. I should have, because I tried, that was one of the big things. I was one of the ones that wanted it to go through last year, and I failed to put out proper information. I just assumed everybody would know the need was there, and I was wrong. so, but, at any rate, I agree that we do need somebody to come in and, guide us on that. And I am 100% agreeable on, county administrator, but it has to be the right one. I'm looking myself about bringing somebody outside the county in, because another good old boy, I don't want to be a part of. We need somebody that's gonna come in and do a job, cleaning a family or whatever, yes. And you get that from what you said, when you bring
Sure.
somebody, and I'm not talking about paying somebody to come in, because there's lots of places out there, from county management agencies and things like that, that will come in for free.
And the cities can even help us with,
Yeah.
help us to recommend.
Yeah,
individuals.
and I would also say, this first county administrator you get needs to be a veteran. He needs
private
to
one.
know,
Yes.
he needs to have a lot of experience, because he's coming in here and pretty much setting this up. And you guys really need a veteran. You hire somebody that's got a couple years' experience, you guys are gonna chew them up and spit them out so fast. And so you need somebody that's got 10 plus, 20 years of experience. Frankly, I think Larry Payne would do you guys wonders, but I don't think he wants to make the jump over here. So, but you need somebody with that type of experience.
Right. And I agree 100,
Sure.
oh, I'm sorry. I agree 100%, because we need somebody that's gonna give us information so that we can make proper decisions.
Right.
A lot of times, I spend hours and hours and hours studying and researching, but I feel I shortchange myself because there's a lot of information
Right.
I'm not tapping into.
Right.
And so, and
then
that's devastating.
And then after doing that, you guys it's better for you guys to be up at the 50,000-foot level, making the policy, the general decisions, and letting somebody else, get down in the weeds. And all of a sudden, your guys' names won't be in the paper quite as much.
Wouldn't that be nice? I also think that with hiring a county administrator, I think we as commissioners take a sizable pay cut, because our responsibilities are a lot less, which I'm fine with. I'm just saying that
And
when you
that's-
talk about dollars,
Right.
there's some more money back into the pot.
And that's, that's up to you guys. I don't know what you guys get paid, and I'm not too
I
terribly
read
concerned
that,
about
that's the
that,
normal
but,
thing, but.
yeah. Yeah, I know.
But I will go back and tell you this, that there's 2 cities or 3 cities that's in our town that has had, or in our county over the last 20 years. The same reason why I would not vote for one too, so, thank you.
I guess I missed the point.
They've
I'm
had,
trying to
they've
pay
had county,
attention, but.
they've had city administrators that's
Okay.
not shown proper leadership.
And
That's
Randy,
yeah.
you're
Today,
right.
today is a different story.
There are
But-
city administrators that maybe aren't the ones you should hire. And that's for any position.
Well, sure it is. Yeah.
There are people that,
Mhm.
work in that business that maybe shouldn't be.
Mhm.
And I think, don't set your guys' self up with a time limit. You have to have somebody hired by this
Right.
date, because you need the right person. That's key.
And I think,
That's why we need to seek professional help to
Right.
do this.
I 100% agree.
Yeah. Go ahead, Patty.
No, I was being funny.
Oh.
I think that,
Okay.
you would need to have a lot of discussion about exactly how you want that position and what the duties would be. Because you would have to establish what duties that person would do, so that would be something that you would do on the front end. You'd also have to have some discussion about logistics as far as how we make space for the person, for the office, et cetera.
And I think that's one of the things that Kent has touched on already, and we had discussed. That's what the person from county management would tell us, what questions to ask. A lot of times we don't know what questions to ask. A lot of times we don't know. So by bringing somebody in to advise us or assist us on how do we ask certain questions and what do we ask, is I think what you were touching on, getting
Yeah.
somebody in here. And I agree with that.
Anthony, do you know, does the state offer some type of assistance in this type, or is it basically private consultants, or?
I really have no idea.
Okay.
The League of Kansas Municipalities
Yes.
is a resource for cities. I think they do stuff with counties too. But maybe the KCA.
When we talked about this before, there were some contacts that I made at the ICMA, the International City or County Managers Association. They have some resources,
So, yeah, were you talking about Mr. Manning? I think he's a senior person or something, or do you remember?
I know who Mr. Manning is. I wasn't speaking with him. There was someone else that they were recommending that I talked to.
Okay, and I know they have several, so we're talking about the same group. Okay. Okay, so did you wanna add anything else to it?
Well, I mean, do we move forward with soliciting some
Do you want me to
information?
reach out to those contacts that I have?
I would be
when
in
we-
favor of that.
Which ones do you have? I'd like to know.
I don't know. I'd have to look back at my notes. It was a
Okay.
year ago.
Yeah.
But it was somebody that was at a level in the International City County Managers Association. I can bring that name back at the next meeting, and then you can let me know
Well,
if you want me to move forward.
Yeah, and I'd like to know the organization that you're
It's
also.
the International.
Okay, but you're only gonna reach out to one, or are you gonna reach out to, did you have a couple, or just one?
Okay, I have a lot of notes. I could just bring it all
Okay,
up.
that'd be great. Did you wanna add anything else here before we move on?
We're gonna go against the
Or
public
just-
vote to go ahead and go forward.
Well, as I understand, and I think our attorney also told us this, that particular vote was, it was not a binding vote by the public. And I don't understand why, but it just seemed, it was a recommendation or something, what's that called?
Advisory?
Advisory, yes,
To be sure, that's very possible. I don't know
yeah.
if it's done on that basis and not binding.
That's what I remember, because I was disappointed, and I remember somebody saying, well, because I don't, what you just said, Randy, I have a problem with that too. Don't go against the voter, and I didn't know when you bring anything to the voters, that it's just advisory. So when I heard that, I was surprised, but accepted it because that's what I heard. Yeah, so you could find out for sure?
Sure.
Because that, I wanna make sure on that for sure.
Well, there are two ways to establish that office, so if there was only one way, which was an election, then it would probably be a little bit different than.
And I'm under the impression right now, after what we went through and the research that I've done in all this stuff right here, that was an advisory, and that the county commission had the authority to move on to hire. That's where I thought we were. We'll find more out next week.
I knew there was always two options, but, you know, whether that, yeah, that was the question, whether there is anything binding to that vote would be legitimate.
Anything else, Randy? Okay, so then, is Sharon here?
Yeah.
And, Mr. Russ Evie? Yep, bring him in here.
Morning.
Morning, Sharon. Is Russ here?
Russ will be right in just a second.
Okay. No, go ahead, take the seat, you're up.
If you don't mind, Russell will be in on the conversation about the lot split regulations.
Sharon, make sure you speak loudly, please.
Okay. Can you hear me over there?
Well,
Sure.
it's not a matter of us hearing you, it's a matter of the public, and no, even that tone is not gonna work.
Okay.
You're gonna have to talk louder.
Okay. I'll give a quick department update. We have 76, give or take, open issues right now, being new build projects, accessory structure permits, wastewater well, planning commission items, violations, and such. So just a quick update on that. And Russ Avey is here with me today to help present the subdivision Article 3 lot split and boundary shift regulations. We, as a planning commission, we have discussed possible amendments to those regulations to present today.
Yeah, and if I may, Russ Agee, Boston Company.
Can you talk up, Russ?
Yes, sorry.
We need to make sure you speak as loud as you can.
Absolutely. My name's Russ Avey. I'm the planning consultant for Marion County with Boston Company. And over the past about 6 to 8 weeks, we've been working on an update to the subdivision regulations for the county dealing with agricultural lot splits. We've had a few minor amendments over the last 18 months, but really earlier this spring, we've had several, maybe 3 applications for lot splits that could not be approved administratively like we're accustomed to. And the reason for that inability to approve those lot splits dealt with the existing current subdivision regulations cap on creating 2 additional lots instead of 4 as we are proposing today. So we took a look at the existing regulations, what the current practices and needs of the county residents are as far as subdividing some of their agricultural land for future home sites, whether for sale to just the general public or splits for family members who wish to build at their home site. So we've taken a look at other counties across the state. I am from Sedgwick County. We maybe 3 or 4 years ago adopted a 4-lot creation lot split standard that's been incredibly successful in minimizing the number of people who would have to otherwise go to the length and expense of creating a subdivision plat in the county where that's really not fundamentally necessary in our opinion. So what we've done, like we did when we removed the 10-acre cap of the lot split regulations, we are simply moving from a cap of two lots being created to 4. And before you, you may have a copy of the proposed amendments to Article 3. They're fairly straightforward. Again, the Planning Commission last month approved unanimously to recommend to the commissioners here this morning approval of that amendment. One of the things that we will also be working with the commissioners on is a cover letter we felt was necessary to send out to engineers and surveyors operating primarily in Marion County to advise them of this new expansive allowance for lot splits in an effort to help, again, streamline and create a more efficient process to get these lots created for buildable sites. As we know, when we talked about the comprehensive plan, we have a fairly stable population, and we want to make sure that we help facilitate orderly and new growth as a planning commission. And one of the ways we thought we could do that is by opening up the allowance and making it easier to build in the county. I would set for any questions that you might have or comments.
I know that that's been a little bit of an issue with some of our larger landowners where family wants to move back and build close, you know, on the homestead, so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You said removal of 10-acre cap. I thought we did down to a 5-acre. 3 on old home
Well, there was a
sites.
maximum, I think
Yeah.
that's what he's talking about.
Correct.
The
So we have a
maximum.
minimum lot size. So we have a lower threshold of 3 acres, and that's basically to get a sewer permit. So that's
Okay.
the minimum size that one can expect out of a county tract of land. But uniquely, we also had a maximum. So we only allowed somebody to split off no more than 10 acres. Well, that was kind of burdensome, and everybody kind of looked at each other and wondered why that was there, and nobody could come up with a good reason.
Yeah.
So we limited the cap of acreage, but still maintained the minimum.
And how about this person, like what just Kent said, where somebody, they want to move right beside their, how did we lighten that up to where the farmer has somebody move back in their family and want to build right beside them out there?
Well, we haven't really changed the dynamic of, you know, a person, if I were to own 80 acres and I wanted to deed off, say 10 acres to my daughter, I was able to do that because I had one tract and I was creating just one additional tract. Actually, I could have done that for my son and daughter, but I couldn't do it. The issue that I think we were running into was somebody had done 20 years ago a lot split. So they split 80 acres into, say, a 40-acre tract, and a 40-acre tract. Well, that was one of your lot splits. So one of your throws was already utilized. Well, we got into a situation here in the spring where we had dealt with lots that had been previously previously split, creating one was a 20-acre lot, one was like an 8-acre lot, you know, nothing dense, nothing that was gonna put an impact on the roads or the sanitation. And it just didn't make sense. You know, here we saw a 4 lots, should have been a 4-lot lot split, and it made perfect sense. 2 of the homes were on one road frontage, 2 of the homes were on another road frontage. There was a creek running through the middle of them. They weren't going to necessarily see each other. It was a perfectly logical scenario. The only thing preventing that from going through, and time was of the essence on one of those applications, was this maximum cap of just creating the ability to create 2 lots instead of 4. Now, one could argue we were dealing with 6 lots out of a 40-acre tract. Now, all of a sudden, we are maybe straining the road system. Maybe we are overpowering that particular property, and then we would take a look at platting that property to make sure that we have adequate infrastructure in place to support that type of development. But with the lot split, we can get access easements, we can get utility easements, we can get floodway reserve easements. We can get all of this information without having to go through the expense and the time of a plat, which is a significant savings to property owners.
And I see there's quite a bit of rules and regulations that a person needs to go through to make one of these lot splits.
Correct.
Or several, whatever. I noticed down here though, under 3-104, you have in there, in addition to all the rules and guidelines, it also says then that the zoning administrator may make additional requirements if needed. Is that a case-by-case basis or just, we don't,
Yes.
whatever, what would deem something like that?
So occasionally, it would be a requirement that a special easement may need to be made for that particular lot split to work. And that's not necessarily a regulation, but something that would make sense to have as a condition with that particular lot split scenario.
A road right-of-way permit or something, would that be it?
It could be, there are a plethora of other special easements that may make sense depending on what the situation is.
Yeah, there are some properties in this county that people have to have easements just to get to their field.
Correct. So, one of the things, you know, again, deals with the ability to get these types of easements without, again, having to go through the full dedication process that one would see under the subdivision plat scenario. And I think what you're speaking to is more in the future. So we have navigational easements that hardly ever come into play, but there may be a certain lot split close to an airport that airport authority may request that. That's something that we, again, would let staff and that department work through to get that filed with the Register of Deeds office.
Yes, and part of that review process is making sure that infrastructure will hold up for these lot splits. You know, is it a road that would need improvements? Is it a floodway where they want their driveway? Different kinds of issues like that would all be involved in the review process before a lot split would be approved.
And of course, all the splits have to be in compliance with the sanitation code and waterway systems and
Correct.
stuff like. What is the
Yes.
setback from that? Do you know?
Okay, so
Waterway systems from the property line and things.
for a wastewater system, it's 100 feet from the property line to the system.
Okay.
That's where some of them, we went down to 50 foot. and
Yes.
some
Yeah.
went to
Yes.
We've made variances.
Variance
on
around
that.
that.
Okay.
In the lot splits also, we make sure that any existing structures will meet the setbacks necessary before you move that boundary line to create that tract as well.
So if there's a tract out there right now that isn't in compliance with this as far as the wastewater system, you're saying that they have to meet all these requirements and stuff to get that boundary line different?
Yes.
Okay. Does that also go along for properties and so on that, because there's a lot of them that I would assume would be grandfathered,
Correct.
but, am I wrong?
No,
That's correct.
that's correct.
Probably a bunch of them out there that way, it's not,
There are.
not far enough away as of today.
Sure, and those would stay in place until or unless somebody would want to create a different or an additional tract off of that grandfathered tract or that non-conforming tract.
Okay, not that the ownership would change, but
Correct, yeah. None of this would have anything to do with ownership.
I see.
It would pass in title,
I see, okay, okay.
which is the importance of having these regulations in place, because this does cover, from a legal standpoint, property transferal. And if you are selling a person something that is a buildable piece of property, we get into the weeds a little bit talking about what surveyors can do legally, and how you can transfer property legally in the state. It has nothing to do, none of those really are compatible or even has to pay much attention to planning and zoning. So I could sell you a piece of ground that you would have no option or no ability to get a building permit for, right? That has nothing to do with an illegal transfer, it's just buyer beware. So what we try to do is at least cover and provide a backstop for people buying property, and if they are comfortable seeing that it has been sealed by the Planning and Zoning Department, it's been recorded with the Register of Deeds office, then one has a better sense that they can pull a building permit and they're going to be able to enjoy and utilize that property for why they bought it.
Okay. So, okay, I just want to make sure that, when things like this do pop up, like you said, there's probably a lot of them, and you sell it, it really is irrelevant because you're just selling it the way it was. That doesn't mean that in order to sell it, they have to comply.
No, correct.
Okay,
No.
okay, I understand.
There's a lot of protections for people in those situations.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a resolution number? Or do you have any other questions yet?
The only thing I'd say for us is, we're, sure, there's things we've got to look to protect against, but there's also people that wants the 3 to 5 acres out here on wasteland or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's always been the commission's, we'd like to work with them. I mean, absolutely, and like you said, also attain so that they can build on that 3 to 5 or whatever.
Yeah, it's a balance between allowing as much freedom for people to develop as they see fit, while still retaining the protections that the county needs to maintain, for example, access onto your section line roads. There's a public interest in the county making sure that that happens in an orderly way, and I believe that we have a system that's going to do that.
Okay. Any other discussion?
No.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and, make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-29, the resolution approving text amendments to the subdivision regulations of Marion County, Kansas. Do I have a second? Second by Kent. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
I am not sure, can I request an executive session to discuss personnel matters?
Yes, we were going to do that anyway. And let's see, we are at the end of the agenda, so yes, we can go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and, here we go. So we'll just move into that part. So we're gonna be going into some executive sessions. I also wanted to say, one of the things we had talked about a while ago was some of our policies. Our handbook is really obsolete, and we're not abiding by policies that are in our handbook. So we need to kind of address that at some point in time. Can we look at that sometime?
Just an overall review, or what do we?
Well, in review, but then also addressing some specific issues in compliance and also equality. And I can be more specific or something at next meeting if we can put that on the agenda or something. We're gonna be here for the next meeting, be it 17.
Yes.
Can we put that on,
Sure.
Should I bring that up first before we get going to the executive?
Yeah, we're gonna go in, so I was going to, let's have public discussion, and then we're gonna go into several executive sessions probably, so, go ahead.
Okay, well, I just had a
All right, Counselor had looked at this last week and something, and he told me it was culpable. I had to look what that was. But this Joseph Kraft, seemed like the money, this for the Sun Wind Energy Doyle North, was stolen money from the Ponzi scheme from this Joe Kraft. I would just like the counselor to look at it. Seems criminal to me, and I guess that's it. I mean, they both got copies of that, so she's got it. So he told me to tell the newspapers. So.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring up? Okay. So with that,
I would, before we do that, why are we allow a public member to bring something to our counselor to look at?
is there a problem with that, Mr. Jan?
It depends on the context. This relates to county business in terms of the one wind farm, so
Okay.
he was just bringing you supplemental information, so I think that's okay. It's,
Okay.
he's not asking me necessarily for a legal opinion, at least that's
Okay.
how I perceive it, so.
Okay. Okay. So, you said for personnel performance? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm gonna move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss, matters of personnel matters of non-elected personnel for a period of,
5 minutes?
well, I'm gonna extend it a little bit longer than 5, so let's just say 10 minutes. We'll go to 10, okay, while we're there.
Okay, sure.
All right.